With the Shining Forces set dropping in 2015, Nekroz instantly became a dominant force to be reckoned with, completely dominating the meta for almost an entire year until the Forbidden List finally caught a hold of it, banning Sherit strategists of the Nekroz. And 2 years later in the 2017 format, we're going to be looking at a highly valuable, highly competitive Nekroz deck that could take on the top tier metas. Reason being is because this deck hates players for playing in their extra deck, and that's just something that this meta is heavily reliant on. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, then go ahead and destroy that subscribe button. But more importantly, you can ritual summon that notification bell because we too strong. Without further ado, or should I just say, what are you waiting for? We're getting to a ritual deck. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to surf into the monsters, and we're going to start off with 1 copies of Nekroz of Trishula. Can you didn't make sure if it can be seen or not. Nekroz of Trishula is a very game-ending card. I wanted to run more than 1 copy, but typically you can recycle it back to your side of the field for more plays. What it does is when it's summoned, just like regular Trishula, it allows you to banish a card from your opponent's field, hand, and graveyard. The only downside about this card is that your opponent needs to have a card in all 3 aspects. Their field and hand and graveyard in order to activate and resolve the effect of Trishula. 1 copy of Nekroz of Decisive Armor. This card's pretty good. It's a dragon, so it's searchable by some of our Nekroz cards, but you can discard it to have one of your Nekroz monsters gain 1,000 attack. But more importantly, it is during either player's turn, you can destroy and banish a face down card. So it comes up pretty handy, especially since it's a 33k body. It can pretty much get over almost any monster in the metagame right now. 2 copies of Valkyrius. A lot of older builds, 2015 builds, ran 3 copies, and they had a really good reason. Traps were on an all-time low. Attacking directly and summoning a mass amount of monsters is really easy. And summoning Valkyrius was, very easy with Sherit at least being at 1. Nowadays, not only is Valkyrius hard to summon, and OTKs aren't as possible as they used to be. Valkyrius serves a very niche role, being able to summon himself with tribute cards, but also blocking the opponent's attacks, and it's still as searchable as it was now as before. 2 copies of Nekroz of Gungnir. This is a card that actually has seen more copies due to Sherit being banned. What this card does is it's freaking awesome. Okay, so first of all, you discard it, you protect all your Nekroz monsters. This is good. For the entire turn, your monster can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. But it's also other great effect is while it's on the field, you can discard 1 card from your hand to destroy a card on your opponent's side of the field, and it's during either player's turn. This card has so much value into it. Nekroz or Bryonic, I would run more copies if we were allowed, but unfortunately, the trio is kind of hit. Trishula not being as easy to access, Gungnir being a good card, and Brio just being Brio. What this card does is when it's summoned, you can return extra deck monsters from the field to the extra deck, but you're going to use it more importantly to search any Nekroz card from your deck to your hand. It is the catalyst between searching any Nekroz card from your deck to your hand. It's pretty important. This card wasn't played at all, and it's very unfortunate because he has some really awesome effects. His first effect is that you can discard him to special summon a Nekroz monster from your graveyard to your side of the field. So most of your Nekroz ritual monsters won't be able to be summoned unless they were properly summoned first, but he actually special summons a lot of Nekroz monsters that we play from our deck to our side of the field, and his battle effect is really good. When your Nekroz monsters battle an opponent's monster from the extra deck, that monster is destroyed. So it's a really decent effect. I think it's a pretty cool card, and it's a dragon. 1 copy of Unicorn, another card that we'll run more copies of if we were allowed to. This is probably going to be your game winner within this deck while it's on the field. Monsters that are summoned from the extra deck's effects are negated completely. This is a blowout. If you go first and you open Unicorn and have the Gungnir in hand, your opponent is going to have a really hard time getting over this card, allowing you to summon more Nekroz monsters to dominate. So 3 copies of Nekroz Colossus. You don't necessarily summon him, but he's used to search your ritual spell cards from your deck to your hand. His summon effect is actually pretty good, being able to reduce the attack of opponent's monsters to 0 and negate their effects. So these 2 cards are awesome starter cards going first, but Colossus you're probably going to use to search your spell cards. That's it for the ritual monsters at 12. For the non-ritual Nekroz monsters, 1 copy of Exa. He has really good value in his deck. So first of all, he's a 5, and 5 plus 4 is 9, which means you can make Krish, so that's pretty fucking good. The next thing about him is that when he's banished, you can special summon one of your banished Nekroz monsters, which work really well with your ritual spell cards. 1 copy of Dance Princess of the Nekroz. When she's summoned, your opponent can't activate anything in response to your Nekroz ritual summon, so that's pretty good. And more importantly, when she's banished, she adds your banished Nekroz cards to your hand, so she's really good at tutoring as well. The new card that we got just recently in Maximum Crisis is Aerial Priestess of the Nekroz, and we run 2 copies of her. She's a pretty decent effect. I wish that she had a banish effect. Unfortunately, she doesn't. What she does is you can reveal Nekroz cards from your hand and increase or decrease her level, which basically allows you to tutor your way into any of your Nekroz monsters on your side of the field or to your side of the field by activating a ritual card. Another great thing about Ariel is that when she is tributed, you can add 1 Nekroz non-ritual monster from your deck to your hand. If it said Nekroz monster, she'd be a godsend. She'd be a 3-of, but unfortunately, they have to tone her down non-rituals. And our non-rituals are pretty good. The best non-ritual monster beside Ariel is Great Sorcerer of the Nekroz. Okay, so when he's tributed, you can add 1 Nekroz spellcaster from your deck to your hand. So your Valkyries become live, your Gungners become live, and even your Unicorn becomes a live card from you to search from your deck. Also, when he's banished, you can send Nekroz monsters from your deck to your graveyard. So cards like Exa become live into your graveyard to furthermore banish, if you banish a spell card by banishing him, you send Exa. And then if you use one of your ritual spell cards to banish him, then you can special summon Sorcerer back to your side of the field. So it's a lot of combos with those guys. So that's it for that. The Nekroz monsters in total. We're going to run 3 copies of Manju of the 10,000 Hands. That's going to search any of our Nekroz cards. And then 3 copies of Senju of the 1,000 Hands. Senju searches any of our monsters, and one of them could be Colossus to search our ritual spell cards. So it's almost essentially like running 6 copies of Manju of 10,000 Hands. That's it for the ritual searchers. And then 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, and 1 copy of Maxi. If you guys somehow could afford this Nekroz deck, because I'm telling you guys, it's kind of expensive for being an older deck, but it never really received a reprint. A good substitute for Ash Blossom would be Ghost Ogre, and a good substitute for Ghost Ogre, you could probably run some more Nekroz ritual monsters or even a Brilliant Fusion Engine. All of them are really good. The thing that I didn't really like about this deck is that I ran 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 summons inside of this deck, so I should or I could have access to the Brilliant Fusion Engine, but there wasn't really a lot of great light monsters, and I didn't want to go that route because not all of the time the Seraph Knight is live, but it was definitely something I was thinking of, especially since it's a level 5 for Trish, and possibly something that I could do later. If you guys want to see an updated version later on down the line, let's get this video to as many likes as possible. So I think that this deck, oh man, you guys are ready for it? I think it has an ocean of options. No? All right, whatever. So that's it for monsters. For spells, 3 copies of Nekroz Mirror. This is easily the best Nekroz ritual spell card. It allows you to ritual summon any Nekroz monster from your hand to your side of the field by obviously using Nekroz monsters or monsters you control or monsters in your hand, but more importantly, it can banish Nekroz monsters from your graveyard to ritual summon as long as they fulfill the specific requirement. 2 copies of Kaleidoscope. What Kaleidoscope does is allow you to ritual summon by using cards in your extra deck, and seeing that your extra deck is pretty free, you can make this card whatever it wants to. So we run 6 ritual spell cards. The last card is Cycle, and Cycle's value has dropped just a little bit. It's still a really good card, but it allows you to ritual summon by obviously a Nekroz monster from your graveyard by tributing cards from your hand and field. So if we run a maximum of 3 copies of Nekroz Mirror, more often than not, we're going to be banishing those monsters we would summon with Cycle, which isn't terribly bad, but I didn't want that to ruin the consistency. For the rest of the spells, we run 2 copies of Preparation of Rites. This card gave the deck a huge boost, being able to search Brio more easily, but more importantly, be able to get your ritual spell cards from your graveyard to your hand if you haven't already banished them because you have monsters in the field. Another great thing about these spell cards I have to mention is that they can banish themselves and a Nekroz monster to search another ritual spell card from your deck to your hand. I wanted to play more spell cards, but I didn't really see a reason to. 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army. It searches the Colossus. I think it searches something else. I know it searches the Colossus. It searches Colossus, which searches the ritual spell card. So that's pretty fucking good. And then 1 copy of Raigeki. I know exactly why I said it searches some other cards, because Sharit's a warrior. But looks like we sure don't have it. Get it? Sharit, we sure don't have it. I'm good on that one. Next is the extra deck. So basically, the extra deck is just a clusterfuck of cards to summon your ritual cards with Kaleidoscope. Shooting Quasar Dragon, it's a 12. Shooting Star Dragon, it's a 11. A really fun combo back in the day with this deck when we had 3 Brios is to summon Brionic by using a Shooting Star Dragon and then use those 2 to make an Exa stag, equip the Shooting Star Dragon, send a card from our opponent's side of the field in a Shooting Star Dragon to the graveyard. Shooting Star's effect would activate the spell summon Shooting Quasar, which spell summon Shooting Star, but unfortunately, we don't have a way to get easy access to a lot of level 6s, or that combo would be pretty fun. 1 copy of Leo, Keeper of the Sacred Tree, that's our 10. Cyframe Lord Omega is our 8. I know you guys are saying CaliEffect, you skipped the 9. Are you really gonna summon your Brio? Really? 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 You're not. You're barely gonna summon your Brio. 1 Ancient Fairy Dragon, that's for 4 and 3. Wyvern is if you have to summon your Brio, or also your 2 copies of Mistborn Colossus. TG Hyper Wonder Magician is if you want to summon your Nekroz monster. Herald of Perfection is actually the star of the deck. It allows you to search off of him being sent to the graveyard. So more often than not, when you do use Kaleidoscope, you want to send Herald. And then Tatsunoko is to summon the Mistbird. That's pretty much, also one more card, I'm sorry. Intis is also another card that you can use to summon your Unicorn, and it destroys cards on the field too. So that's pretty much it for that. Star Boy, we run a lot of light monsters, or a lot of water monsters, my apologies. Get 500 attack and it tutors 1 to the hand. Utopia S39, number 39 Utopia, Castell, and Tornado Dragon. Both of these, I think this is like really standard. Move it over. Oh, we're good? All right, yeah, I think that this is a really standard. I thought about running like the Bahamut Shark and Totally Awesome and all that other stuff, and it was cool, but it was like, I don't really need all that. That is pretty much it for the extra deck. I bet you there's going to be somebody down below in the comment section. Why do you run Nekroz? You can't even make Shooting Star. I promise it happens every single. It's always that one retard. It's always that one. 2 copies of Nekroz of Sophia. Now, I was actually going over this deck and I read this card and I was like, whoa, this card's fucking good. So I don't expect to ever necessarily ritual summon her, but if you discard her in a ritual spell card, it prevents your opponent from going through the extra deck throughout that entire phase. So that could be a game winner on its own right. I just thought it was a really good card to mention. It play tested really well against Spiral, against other matchups, preventing them from going to their extra deck. While they probably could go to battle phase and main phase 2 and then go back into it again, it's still in a really good card to prevent them from doing what they need to do in their battle phase. 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird to swap out with Ghost Ogres and Maxi depending on my matchup, or whatever cards that I do need. Cosmic Cyclone, really good against a lot of for certain matchups. I felt that it was better than Twin Twister because this deck couldn't afford to discard cards, and Heavy Storm Duster was too slow. 3 copies of Solemn Scolding. This deck runs zero traps, so I mean, like, setting a Solemn Scolding is not bad. 3 copies of Evenly Matched. I mean, Nekroz evenly matched. All right, I'm shooting for stuff right there. I guess you guys can get me by the neck on that. Roz, get it, that raw. Yeah, I still got it. Next is the last copy, and it's Dark Hole. That's it for the main deck, side deck, and extra deck. I know you guys love it, so let's get you guys a couple test hands. Okay, so actually, before we get into the test hands, I just want to talk about how me and a friend, he actually came up with the idea of Nekroz competitively, and he was running a card called Gishki Vision. Now the card, is it Gishki Vision? I don't know, whatever it is. The card did seem pretty decent because he can be used as an entire tribute, but I went more towards the Nekroz monsters because the monsters actually give you benefits for being tributed. That, and on top of that, more often than not, we can have some type of consistency with this deck. The main thing I want to shout about this deck is that it's consistent as all hell. It does some pretty decent hands, and I'm going to show you guys. So opening up, we're going to have some beachfront property here with a Dance Princess, a Raigeki, an Ariel, a Senju, and a Nekroz of Valk. Like I said, pretty damn good. At first it was not looking like a great hand, but now we're going to have something to rely on. So I'm going to normal summon the Manju. Manju is going to go ahead and search the Colossus. We're going to send the Colossus to the graveyard, and that's going to go ahead and search the mirror. You're going to activate the mirror, tributing both the Ariel and the Manju to summon Valkyrius. Ariel's effect is going to activate, and that's going to search the Great Sorcerer. My apologies, it's supposed to be right here. That's going to search the Great Sorcerer. Now, you guys can get pretty risque right here. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and see how risky I can get just for video purposes. Now, normally, actually Ariel's effect is gonna activate. All right, I already searched the Great Sorcerer. Actually, no, we're gonna go ahead and do it because we know we have the second Valkyrius we can rely on. I'm gonna activate the effects of Valkyrius, tributing both the Great Sorcerer and Valkyrius itself to draw me 2 cards. All right, and then we're gonna activate the effect of Great Sorcerer to search another Valkyrius to our hand. So not only do we prevent our opponent, oh, actually, I still have more to do. I'm gonna use the effect of Nekroz Mirror to banish the Great Sorcerer and the Mirror to search another mirror. And then Great Sorcerer's effect is going to go ahead and send Exa to the graveyard. So now for next turn, I'm practically set up for a Trishula play, and I can prevent my opponent from attacking me directly, as well as I have a Raigeki set up in my hand to wipe their board. I started off with 5, and then I ended up with 6 cards at the end. That's pretty fucking insane for this deck, and it did it with a not so great hand, so ending up with this is pretty good. Telling you guys, this deck still a little saucy, still got a little saucy. And for the people that didn't know, the Nekroz monsters actually wear the dead husks, or the husks of older monsters. So Valkyrius is actually wearing, you know, Volk's husk. Colossus is actually wearing Misberg Colossus husk. Trish is actually wearing Trishula's husk. Yeah, they like, they're necrophiliacs. They like dead bodies. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. So next hand, we're going to have Ash Blossom, Ariel, Ash Blossom, Ash Blossom. Okay, that is not likely to happen. That's just very unlikely. The odds of you drawing 3 of a 1 of is pretty fucking insane. So I don't even know. That's just bad shuffling right there. I didn't completely separate the cards, but it is what it is. We still have Ash Blossom, so our opponent is not playing Yu-Gi-Oh for quite some time, and Maxi. So just in case they tried to fight the Ash and try to play Yu-Gi-Oh, you're not playing Yu-Gi-Oh, bro. You're not playing. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. My camera died, but we're going to show you guys another hand before we call it a day. Our real start-off hand, if we can make Unicorn, it is so free, and it allows us to basically say, hey, we have a 2300 attack monster that prevents our opponent from going into the extra deck. It's going to be pretty nasty for them. It's a situation that they don't want to be in. So opening with this hand, we're going to get Colossus, Sinju, which is already, this is already the Unicorn right here, and that's how searchable this deck is, or how searchable it makes itself. A Manju, a Raigeki, and a Nekroz, a Gungnir. So I think we're going to do exactly what I was talking about. We're going to normal summon the Sinju, activate its effect, and that's going to go ahead and search the Unicorn. Next, we're going to discard the Colossus, and that's going to search us the Kaleidoscope. Where is that Kaleidoscope? We're going to activate the Kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope is going to send Herald of Arclight to summon our Unicorn. Herald of Arclight is going to add Brio from our deck to our hand. And the reason why I'm adding Brio instead of Valkyrius is because Gungnir basically covers all our bases. Unicorn can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. So it's pretty much protected. And we'll sit on this type of hand and just say, hey, opponent, you have to do your dirty work. You have to now break my 1 monster board with a card in hand to protect it. And once you do, I can respond by making, you know, a different type of board. So the next following turn, I think we can Trish you. No, yeah, we can. We can actually Trish you. So the following turn, provided, why did I draw you? Why did I, what? I didn't, you just made my hand that much more dangerous. So I'll put you to the bottom. You go somewhere else. All right, every card I'm drawing just seems to make this hand even more deadlier. So we're gonna summon the Manju. You're gonna search the Trish. Brio is gonna search another one of our ritual spell cards. We're gonna search Mirror. Mirror is gonna activate itself. And what I was gonna originally do was get rid of the Brionic and the Colossus Engrave. But now I can get rid of the Exa and the Sinju to summon the Trish on our opponent. And now we just got the Trish our opponent, which will normally equal game. Exa's effect will search us a dragon. And that dragon can either be Catastor to bring back our Exa, which would be game. That would be game right off right there. or it can be decisive armor in case our opponent has another monster on the board that is stronger than ours. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. I really hope that you really enjoyed seeing the best ritual deck reanimated. Get it? Because they were a dead husk, and you know, dead reanimated because they're, all right, whatever. I really hope you guys enjoyed seeing that. If you want to join the best gang in all of Gangland, then check out that Patreon. We have some awesome subscription rewards for everyone out there. You get a reward, you get a reward, you get a reward. Everyone gets a reward with free You gotta pay for that. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy.